My last day in Georgia consisted of going to a mall because I needed to get a book from Barnes& and Noble, and there happened to be one there. It was pretty nice. And then I went over and had some pizza. First time I've eaten out in a long time. And then I overnighted at a gas station after getting some supplies at a Walmart. It was not too bad. Overnighting at gas stations, not the best thing, not the most fun thing, but hey, at least it is an option for us. Most gas stations don't generally care if you overnight in the parking lot. Now, some of the places are bigger, hey, much more friendly. Some are like, just kind of be a little bit discreet, whatever, out of the way. Well, on today's first stop, we find a basically glorified parking lot. And then the second stop, we actually find a campsite that you are explicitly allowed to stay for 3 days. We'll show you both of these places on today's video. It is laundry day, and the kitty's like, dude. So about 20 minutes for the wash, and probably about another, half hour or so for the dry, and about $4 or so to do laundry for a load, but we'll see. So for laundry, I use powdered detergent, and I use it for a couple reasons. The first is that liquid detergent, since it's water-based, is heavier, it's bigger, it's bulkier. This guy here, I bought it before I started my van life, and I've not even used half of it. And then what I do is I went and I got these little craft bags, and I just fill these guys up full of detergent, so I always have a pile of these on hand, and then just throw my stack of quarters in there as well. And that way I have everything I need to do a quick batch of laundry. So right now, while the washing machine's going, I'm going to pull out my bag. I'm going to fill these guys back up. I basically reuse these unless they break. And we're just going to go ahead and reuse them and throw more laundry in there, laundry detergent in there, so that next time I need to go do laundry, I just have this little bin, which has my quarters and my detergent in it. So nice and easy to take care of laundry on the road. Way better than trying to carry around a washing machine. They do exist for the road, but not necessarily the best. I came into town so early because there was a church here that I thought would be fun to visit. I mean, it was a Baptist church on Presbyterian Street. Who wouldn't want to visit it? Well, apparently no one would, because I found the place and I didn't see any signs that it was actually open. I mean, there was a sign there indicating when Sunday school was. There's a name for the preacher. But I show up and no one shows up. I wait through the standard Sunday school hour. No one shows up. So then I went ahead and I thought, did the rapture occur? I mean, I don't know. So I was like, well, okay, there's this other one that it had a weird name, something like, the Swamp Baptist or something. I don't know. Let's go swing by that one. That's like in a house. There were people there, but like, I didn't really want to pull up a giant van in front of somebody's house. Like, hey, can we come to church? A little crazy. So, I'm like, let's leave, head out, and I almost run over some people carrying Bibles across the street into a big church. So, okay, let's park there, go to church at that place. Apparently there's people there, and they seem to have Bibles, so that's where I went to church this morning. That's why I'm here so early. It just turned out laundry was a good thing to do after that, and then I went out ahead and found my campsite. today we're over at Bobcat Landing, and nice little place. Some people call it the glorified parking lot because really that's what it is. No signs about no parking. It's on several of the camping places. Occasionally I hear some sheriffs will come by, swing around, chat with some people that are here. We'll see what that ever happens or not. I'm pretty much going to stay here. Internet is okay. T-Mobile has nothing. That's my Mint Mobile line. Verizon is, the download's really good. The upload is, I couldn't stream here, we'll put it that way. But it is a nice place overall. We have this nice river here, and I forget which river this is. There's a major highway over here. You can sort of hear it, but it's not too bad. And as we walk back toward the van, actually I have my doors open up in such a way that I literally have a riverside view out of the van. So it's a very cool place. And this is an old town called Bamberg, South Carolina, just about 3 miles north of town. So a pretty nice little spot. I left Bamberg and actually drove down to the southern tip there of South Carolina, where I visited a subscriber, and we had a wonderful time. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful homemade meal as well, and it was great. And then I left there. I went to a national park, which we'll cover on our next video. And then I came to this particular camping spot, which you're allowed to stay at for 3 days. And this leads right on into where I stayed for my upcoming conference. So there is a bike trail that goes the entire north to south over the entirety of South Carolina. And it is the Saw Palmetto Trail, of course, based on the Saw Palmetto State Tree of South Carolina. This is the 10-mile section that is managed by this county, and in this county it goes over about a dozen old train trestles. This was an old railroad track line. And there's actually a lot of history back here, that this bridge was the first bridge which crossed the Broad River, and it was built, I believe, in the 1850s. Now, what's kind of cool is at the campsite, which is right across the way over here, there's actually a parking spot for a doctor. And I thought that was funny until I come over here and there's a plaque just beyond the outtake over here. And it explains that there used to be a doctor that lived over here at, this is called Peak. It was called Peak Station at the time. And it was a railroad depot, and it was a small corporate town that cropped up for the people working on the rail lines here. And there were still some people that lived in the valley over here. And so right across this train bridge, this is the only crossing for 40 miles over the Broad River. So there was a doctor who parked his car on the other side of the train trestle. And he would keep a car parked over there. And then when he needed to visit somebody in the valley, he would simply walk over the train tracks, jump in his car, and then drive over to visit the patients. So go ahead and have a look at that plaque here. So here's a sign about Peak Station. Peak, first known as Peak Station, was named for Railroad Superintendent H.T. Peak in 1853 when he established as a habitation for workers in the Greenville and Columbia Railroad, not incorporated until 1880. Since only crossing the Broad River for 40 miles, stretched between Columbia and Sheldon, was this trestle, some residents like Dr. C.A. Piney Sr. would walk across the trestle to a car parked on the Fairfield side to get to his patients across the river. So very fascinating. This spot here showed me some of the downsides of not van life per se, but maybe more of our societal trends. The van you might see behind mine a little bit, and the tent that is down over the embankment would appear to be a homeless man. I talked to him very briefly, and I asked, "Are you a van dweller?" He says, "Not by choice." Apparently he was a man with possibly a little bit of mental illness, and he was forced out of his home and basically was staying in his car. And I'm guessing that was his tent that was pitched down the embankment. Now, in this spot here, you're only allowed to camp for 3 days. he looked like he'd been there for a lot longer. And it was sad because I actually first pulled up to this campsite in downpouring rain, and I saw the lights on in the tent. So he was down in the tent in downpouring rain. He comes up and was sleeping in the van. He didn't seem all mentally with it. And it's kind of sad to see that we are in a world where people can be pushed out of their houses because there's not enough resources, and then they have to live in their cars and in tents. It's one thing when I have chosen to move into a van and I have explicitly given up my place and I still have a good gainful employment, but it's even sadder when you don't. And that is some of the reality we have to realize. This is why I like groups like Cheap RV Living that will teach people who are forced to live in their vehicles how to do it safely and securely and legally. And that is just a thing to think about. So have a look at the Homes on Wheels Alliance and Cheap RV Living to see more of what they do, because it's sad that I was camping next to a gentleman. Well, we'll leave this video here today. Next week, we will be heading on over to another national park on the East Coast. We'll get a chance to see which one that is. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you've not already done so. Hit that notification bell. Share this video far and wide. And we will see you a little bit further down the road.